everybody. This is an IncGamers Podcast. It's the IncGamers Podcast, the only one. If you're listening to a different IncGamers Podcast, if it's not us, it's a counterfeit IncGamers Podcast, and you should report it to the authorities. I'm Peter Parrish. I'm joined by other authentic IncGamers people. They are Tim McDonald. Hello.
Hello, I am authentic, although I am actually responsible for one of the counterfeit IncGamers podcasts.
You dick. Stop doing that.
It's called the Gamers Inc. Codpast.
Is it all about COD?
Pretty much. Well, not entirely. We do talk about other things as well. Herring,
Obviously.
hippers.
COD games. I'm ignoring this deviation. Paul Younger, hello.
Hello. I'm not a pirater of the IncGamers Podcast.
Good. Yeah, if you turn us over, then we've got serial numbers on the bottom that confirms we are official IncGamers people, so that's good. Tim, the big news this week is that Tomb Raider became French. Tell us all about it.
Oh, it was very exciting. I mean, you guys know, and I imagine all the listeners know, that French is the best language in the world. It is the future of linguistics around the entire globe. It is the one true language, and I was so delighted to see that Tomb Raider got patched and it completely removed the English language from the game and instead defaulted it to French. Now, you know, obviously there's going to be a bit of controversy about this because there are some people out there who only speak English for some reason.
Really?
So, you know, they did leave in, if you went through the options, then you could actually find the language settings, which were in French, because, you know, and you could set the text to English and, you know, put English subtitles on and so on. But, you know, you've still got the authentic French voiceover. Because as we all know, Lara Croft, English, you know, noble woman. So obviously she speaks French.
How is the French voice acting in the game? Is it good?
Pretty good. The 30 seconds or so of the intro I listened to were very good.
Excellent.
I could actually, I could, if the rest of the voice acting is as good as what I heard then, I wouldn't hate playing through it with French audio. It wasn't terrible.
And why did Square Enix decide to make Tomb Raider French, Tim, do you think? Other than that French is great.
Well, I think it's down to the authenticity, really. I mean, as we said before, Lara Croft is, you know, English. She's a peer, I believe, Lady Croft. And yeah, so it's, you know, it just makes sense. She would obviously talk French.
Well, I mean,
with the way things worked in France, with, you know, colonialism and so on and so forth, you've got a lot of places like in Africa and the Caribbean and so on. A lot of places speak French as one of the languages, and so it is not inconceivable that this mysterious island off the coast of East Asia that Lara shipwrecks onto, it's not inconceivable that everyone there would speak French as well.
Yeah. And also, if you go back to the Tudor era, I think a lot of English noblewomen would probably have learned French as well because of the close relationship between England and France. So perhaps it's a nod back to that, maybe.
Naturally.
Is it fixed, Tim? I mean, I say fixed. Is it broken again by bringing it back in?
They backtracked on this. I think what happened was when they released the Mac version, they inadvertently removed the English language setting from the PC version. As sort of a 0 kilobyte patch, which immediately caused the game to default to French, which immediately caused it to download 1 gig of French audio files. So even if you pause that and then set it back to English, chances are I would imagine it probably already deleted the English files to make room for the French ones, and so you had to download them again anyway. But yeah, they for some reason they backtracked on this. The bloody cowards at Square Enix. They decided that you know, people were complaining, people were up in arms, so they weren't just going to stick it with French. Which is, I hate it when publishers do that, when they fucking just capitulate to the mass market, who just don't understand.
People who didn't appreciate the vision and started complaining because they don't get it.
Exactly. I mean, I think that what this was rather, you know how the PS4 and the Xbox One have got the definitive version. Well, this was Square Enix basically pointing out that actually the PC is the definitive version. You can tell because it's in the original French.
Yes. All of that is true and factually accurate. But I'm
gonna massive cock up.
I guess it could have been that. Let's move on. Let's move on from that Francais interlude and talk a little bit about GTA 5, because I know we love GTA 5 and the eternal perplexing mystery that is the PC version. Paul, there was supposed to be some PC pre-orders last week, and then there weren't. Some Scandinavian shops said there definitely was going to be some PC pre-orders.
Yeah, it's kind of like, the thing is, there are pre-orders up on Amazon and so on, and which everyone's like, oh, pre-orders, okay, well, they may announce it soon. But they kind of made out that it was like, yes, it's definitely going to be, definitely on Friday. Yeah. And then when actually probed about it by their either new customers, because I'm sure they got quite a few new people in from that little story, they kind of said, no, it's on hold until we hear from our distributor. It's like, oh, no, really? So there was a sliver of hope that there may be something going to happen at the end of last week, but sadly not. By Saturday, they had backtracked.
Do we think that this is because Rockstar are spending as much time as possible to make the PC version the definitive version with the best graphics and the best French language?
The best French, yes.
Probably. Yep. Maybe all games are actually developed in French first.
I think originally the Grand Theft Auto 5 city was going to be Paris. I'm pretty sure that's true.
Oh, probably. And Rockstar North is, started as DMA Design, did Lemmings, and first GTA games, they were based in England, so obviously they're very keen on the French language.
No, they were based in Scotland, Tim.
It's basically England, though.
Fuck's sake! I'm fucking outraged. I can't believe you said that. Get off. Leave.
Yes, you can. You can totally believe I said that.
Oh,
I think.
Right, the whole Scottish nation is now marching to the Isle of Man to burn you.
So who do we think made this? Who do we think made this story up? Do you think it was the Scandinavian retailer, or do you think it was Game Reactor?
I think it was probably the retailer. Actually, they probably tipped Game Reactor off, thinking, "Oh, they're quite a big Swedish site. Let's tell them about it," and then. And so on. So that's probably what happened. But hey, it's still no GTA 5, which is quite funny.
Indeed.
Do we think that this was a big hoax, or do we think that they genuinely believed that there were going to be GTA 5 pre-orders on that day?
I don't know.
Excellent. Thank you for that startling insight, Paul.
How am I going to know?
I think it's unlikely that they just made it up out of nowhere. I don't think a major Swedish... Oh, it was a Swedish one, wasn't it? Or no, Norwegian retailer. I don't think they're going to be struggling for business that badly that they have to make up a GTA 5 PC story, do they? Surely.
That's kind of why the very fact that this story exists kind of lends a bit of credence to, I don't know, the thoughts that it's certainly getting a PC version.
Well, yeah. Yesterday there was a Take-Two, Take-Two being the publisher of GTA 5, of course. They released their third quarter results or something like that. I think had a bit of a conference call, and there was an analyst who asked them about GTA 5 on PC, and they kind of hedged their bets by doing the old, "Oh, we've got nothing to announce about that now." But then they also said, "Hey."
Sorry, I was going to say something, but carry on. I'll
okay. But they followed it up by saying, "Oh, but GTA 4 did very well for us on the PC," dropping a bit of a hint bomb with that one. Because why would you mention that unless you had plans to do it? Really.
I was just going to ask: was this analyst Michael Pachter, he who is wrong about everything?
No, I don't think it was. No. I mean, he wasn't predicting anything, so even if it was him, it doesn't matter. He was just asking a question. Or do you think anything he associates himself with is sort of put into question?
If Michael Pachter thinks that it's even remotely likely, it's probably not going to happen. It's either that or it's so startlingly bloody obvious that, it's probably already been announced.
It kind of does seem fairly obvious that they would do this. I mean, let's do a simple equation. Do Rockstar and Take-Two like money? If yes, release a PC version of GTA 5. I mean,
that's the thing. If Michael Pachter says that it might happen, then he's probably wrong.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he has or not.
I've never
Anyway,
seen someone manage to get a job where the idea is to predict things and then just be completely wrong about them all the time. Oh wait, no,
Well-
the stock market. Never mind.
yeah. I mean, I think if you're an analyst in that area, you effectively just do the same thing that we did with our GTA 5 speculation article, where you kind of look at past releases, look at Rockstar as a company, look at the probability of this game being ported, and then make a judgment on it. So what
Yeah.
I'm saying is we could be analysts.
Unless you're Michael Pachter, in which case you don't bother doing any of that, and then you just be wrong instead.
Let's go. Let's shake the magic 8-ball and see what answer it wants to give me today.
Yeah, pretty much. You just give it the old Gallic shrug.
Are you saying Michael Pachter has had a patch to become French as well?
No, because then they might actually write about things, because as we all know, the French are right.
Michel Pachter. So what else happened this week? Oh, AMD released Mantle, which is of excitement to precisely no one except me here.
Is it good, Peter? Have you
was
managed to get your frame rate up to near Nvidia levels yet?
Oh, damn. But yes, is the answer, I suppose, to that question. Yeah.
Peter, are you actually? Did you just basically say that AMD is worse than Nvidia?
It certainly is on several games, yeah. Others, I think it might be better on, but it depends. Depends what logo they have at the beginning, you know. If whenever there's the Nvidia, the way it's meant to be played, I just have to sigh and think, oh, I'll be turning down the options on this one then.
Someone should someone should release a game where the logo comes out. It's just a big sausage or something. So you're left there going, what?
Plays best on sausageware.
I think the Nvidia logo should actually just be replaced with "won't work on AMD."
Sleeping Dogs, though, that has the AMD logo. That was quite good. Bioshock Infinite also has the AMD logo, so that was nice. Those two ran quite well. Anyway, yeah, I tried. I don't know if this fits. I guess this is news rather than games, because it wasn't really a game. I tried out the Starswarm stress test thing that's Mantle. I'm sorry if you keep hearing my cat, by the way. He's very excited by something outside that he keeps seeing.
He's excited by
Anyway.
the podcast, Peter. He just wants to be on it again.
He's excited by Mantle. Cats love Mantle. That's
Oh
what
yeah,
it's called.
absolutely. When I've seen your cat, on camera or something, he is regularly sort of sitting on something that could conceivably be called a mantle after he mantles up onto it.
Absolutely, they love mantling. They love nothing more than mantling. Anyway, the Starswarm stress test, which I tried out, yeah, it did all right. It gave me like an extra 5 to 8 frames per second. With that, well,
That's
not amazing, but
I don't know. That's an entire third of what consoles barely manage.
there you go. So yeah, they should probably market it in those terms.
And
Except that
I've just realised I'm being really abrasive this week, aren't I?
That's because you've been up since about 5 a.m, Tim.
I have actually been up since 5 a.m.
I said to Peter before you came on, I said, does that mean that if Tim's not had a nap, he's going to be grumpy Tim? To Peter responded, what difference is there?
Hey,
I can't tell any difference.
Peter,
Hi.
fuck off.
What? Mantle.
I think I'm actually in quite a good mood. I mean, I'm in a very sarcastic, cynical, dark mood. I want to mock Michael Pachter some more, but I'm enjoying myself, which is more than I can say usually when I'm in the company of you two.
So Mantle. Anyway, just trying to get through this this exciting news story. I suppose I've kind of said my piece really, and it gave me a few extra frame rates. I've been trying it on Battlefield 4 as well, because AMD read my article where I said I didn't have Battlefield 4, and they said, would you like Battlefield 4 to try it on? So I said yes. That hasn't been going so well. It's a bit rubbish on Battlefield 4.
In fairness, that's probably just Battlefield 4.
It could be Battlefield 4's fault, yeah. Also, I was looking at the driver notes, and I think it's only optimized on Battlefield 4 for the really top-end AMD cards at the moment, the R9 290s or whatever the hell they're calling them now. So might not be the best time to test this necessarily. I might hold off until we have better drivers. I don't know.
Did you actually tell? Did you say in the article which graphics card you had?
Yes, I did.
Then if they know that it's not going to work on that graphics card very well, or if it's not particularly optimized for that, why not give it to you?
Well, maybe they're hoping that I'll wait till they have better drivers out, or they were hoping it would just magically work. I don't know.
Possibly.
I mean, I don't know. I could do a fuller cleansing of my drivers and reinstall them and stuff. I'll probably do that. So.
Well, put an NVIDIA card in then. Pitching!
In all seriousness, though, an 8 frames per second increase isn't half bad. I mean, okay, I flippantly said that is a full third of what consoles usually manage to do.
Well, it is. I mean, that literally is true.
Yeah. But it's a fair increase. I mean, the difference between 20 FPS and 30 FPS is noticeable.
Yeah.
Between 50 and 60, less so, but it still makes a difference for the way the game feels. If this is the beta drivers that are giving you that much of an increase, that's not half bad.
I mean, granted, this is just on this one specific Star Swarm stress test, which isn't really a benchmark because they kind of simulate an AI battle, which is a little bit different each time, so you have slightly different numbers. I kind of ran it a few times to see how consistent it was, and it was relatively so, but did vary a little bit. So yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of rumors swirling around that they optimized it especially for Mantle to make it look better, or they gimped the DirectX thing to make it look worse. So it's like, maybe we'll see when there's more stuff out there to test it on. But yeah, if it gives a consistent minor frame rate boost, I'm quite happy with that. It beats NVIDIA's features like PhysX that usually take frame rate away from you.
Yeah. I'm not disagreeing with that.
Hooray!
What about TressFX?
Well, less said about that the better, I think, probably. Other than they're working on TressFX 2.0, remember? I seem to recall from some talk they gave that I was excited about.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie, I'm excited.
Yeah. If there's anything we need in games, it's better hair.
Yeah.
Definitely.
More realistic hair, I think, because I do think it's very strange that in a lot of games, people go around having adventures and stuff, and their hair doesn't actually change. Yeah. It's still perfect.
It's early days for Mantle, and it's going to depend on developer support, effectively. I think all the future Frostbite engine games are going to use or be compatible with it, which is quite encouraging, because kind of everyone's using Frostbite, as far as I can tell, who aren't using Unreal 4.
Anyone who doesn't want their games to be brown is using Frostbite.
Exactly. And Thief, of course, is going to use it, which is appropriate because it's called Mantle. I don't know if they planned that, but if they did, that was quite clever.
Do you think that they wanted a game that looks like it's going to be rubbish as the big showcase?
I don't know. I mean, yeah, they've got Battlefield 4, which was obviously broken and unstable, so that's a bad one to test it on. And then they've got Thief, which is looking a bit rubbish.
I'll be honest with you. I just wanted to slag off Thief for a moment.
You liked the latest Thief trailer, Tim. Your post said you liked it.
Liked is an exaggeration. I didn't think it was terrible. It looked okay, but there is the slight worry that trailers tend to lie and show off the best bits.
They never lie. Trailers never lie.
No, of course not.
Well, I think they paint a unique version of the truth. Let's put it that way. I didn't trust it because it had the same lady who voiced the Hitman Absolution trailers, who told me that was going to be an amazing Hitman game, just like Blood Money.
Yeah, and as we discussed last week, Hitman Absolution was shit.
So basically what you're saying is the quality of a game is determined by whoever's narrating the video. That has nothing to do with the game development at all.
I'm just saying I don't trust her because of what she said in that.
She's a liar.
In fairness, right, if you had a shit game on your hands and you knew it was shit and you said, we need a voiceover that's going to make people buy it.
Brian Blessed.
What's another really shit game that loads of people bought? Hitman Absolution. Okay, let's go and get the lady who did the voiceover for that.
No, you just get Brian Blessed. He'll make anything sound exciting.
It is working, because I read around on a few forums afterwards, people who posted the trailer, and there was a lot of people going, oh, this looks really good. And like, oh, sorry, older Thief fans, I'm probably going to buy this now. And I thought, you are credulous fools.
That's the thing. In fairness, the trailer does look quite good. What is shown is decent. If the game is like that, I will probably be reasonably happy. The problem is that I suspect the trailer is lies.
Well, it is lies, because that woman's doing it.
And as we know, from a sample size of 1, she can't be trusted.
Exactly.
I don't know whether she did other Square Enix published games that actually turned out to be good. She may have done, in which case I will revise my opinion. Maybe she did some Tomb Raider ones, I don't know.
That sounds too much like we have to actually check facts. I don't fancy doing that.
Yeah, I suppose so. Speaking of checking facts, the Norwegian authorities are checking some facts in FunCom's financial records at the moment. Because last week they raided their offices and took a bunch of documents pertaining to financial activities during the development and publishing of The Secret World, which is kind of interesting.
Do you think it was like a sort of FBI raid where they just come in and they just totally trash the place? There's just like papers everywhere.
They trashed it, but they made everyone leave and stand outside for a bit. I don't know if they trashed it. It's quite serious though. I thought you were going to ask, was this some sort of meta, very late alternative reality game involving like Illuminati manipulation of stocks and the stock market and stuff? In which case I was going to say yes, it probably is. So yeah, I don't know how much more we can say about that until they conduct their investigation, but it kind of was
apparently they are cooperating fully, which I guess they have no choice, really, do you?
Yeah, what are you going to do? Say no,
we're
locking our doors, you can't come in, we're busy shredding things.
Does that work?
It worked in the US. A lot of the major banks just shredded a bunch of shit, and then what can you do? The documents are gone, you can't build a case against them, other than for destroying evidence, but then it's difficult to prove that as well, unless they tell you, yes, we shredded everything. So I think it does work, unfortunately, yeah. So if you're in a financial bind, I recommend shredding documents. It seems to work quite well. Financial advice from the IncGamers Podcast.
Actually, in fairness, if the possibility is that you're either going to go to jail for massive financial fraud, or for potentially, which will definitely happen if you don't shred the documents.
Right, exactly.
Might get some jail time for destroying evidence. What are you going to do?
Exactly. It's win-win, really.
You really need to rethink this legal system.
Of course, if you've sent lots of emails to people saying, I'm going to commit massive financial fraud, then you're in bigger trouble, because that's going to stick around on servers and stuff, so...
What would you suggest in that case, Peter?
Conducting all your correspondence by old-style postal mail.
What about pigeons?
Or pigeons, yeah.
Telegraph.
What should pigeons do, because they can't write?
They don't have to write, they just carry the messages. You don't have to shred the pigeons, they won't testify against you. They shouldn't, anyway.
I don't know, because I absolutely and clearly remember that in one of the cases of one of the Phoenix Wright games on the Nintendo DS, there was a point where you had to call a parrot as a witness.
Well, parrots, though.
I think that happened in the film as well.
I want to see the film.
The film's actually quite good.
Oh, it's not on Netflix yet. I keep checking for the Phoenix Wright live-action film, but it just keeps not appearing. It's very annoying.
It's a lot better than it has any right to be. It's actually quite enjoyable.
Have you seen the Cromarty High live-action film, and is that any good, Tim?
I didn't know that existed.
Oh, well.
I haven't actually watched all of Cromarty High yet. I need to get back to that.
It's very good.
Yeah, it's such a bizarre and wonderful series.
It teaches you about netiquette. Anyway,
There we go.
you're moving on. We've kind of teased.
I was going to say, we don't normally talk about JRPGs or anime here. We've probably just expanded our listener base by a good 50%.
Mentioned Phoenix Wright, mentioned Karate High, throw in some Final Fantasy, we'll be laughing.
Yeah.
Eris dies, by the way. Sorry.
Spoilers!
How old is that game now? I don't know.
Rosebud was the name of his sled, by the way.
What? Jesus, Tim. I was a ghost all along.
Planning on watching Citizen Kane.
I was a replicant all along.
Valve. It's made of people.
Valve were replicants all along. We've been teasing Valve recently for doing some stupid things, but I think they're doing something now that most people can get behind because it's pretty straightforward. They're going to add a music player to their Steam overlay, so you can play stuff in your games.
I have lots of questions about this, Peter.
Okay.
So before I start, Paul, do you have anything you want to chip in with this? Because once I get going...
Okay, well, just why? That's
Why
it.
not? Why not?
Why?
That's my response. Are you saying we could just use Winamp instead?
I'm just saying
Yes,
why? Why bother? Why waste time?
Well, surely this is going to be part of their master plan to integrate music and film and all that malarkey into their Steam OS.
I don't
world
care.
domination.
All they want to do is come into my living room, and I don't want them in my living room. Leave my living room
Yours
alone.
to Come into your living room and sit on your sofa and eat some chips and make a mess.
Get out.
and then leave. Alright, Tim, questions.
Well,
I don't have any answers.
I'm fairly certain you don't, but I want to ask them anyway, because
I'll try.
that way...
I'll pretend to be Doug Lombardi.
Even
you beat
if
someone
you-
emailing me.
Even if you don't have the answers, it sounds like we're being... I'm getting the questions out there into the public mind, and
Sure.
that's the real
Rhetorical.
purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, if you do have an answer, that would also be great. So is this actually just an inbuilt music player in Steam, or is it going to have sort of Steamworks functionality in that you can have it sort of play music in your games and use the music volume within the game and stuff like that? Is that something they're looking into?
I think the answer to that is yes. I think it is Steamworks integrated. I think it can be... I'm pretty sure they did talk about playing music like in-game.
Right.
I don't know whether the game's volume will relate to it or not. You'll kind of get back to it by doing the Shift-Tab overlay thing, I think.
Right.
So there we go. I answered that one.
That was very good. I'm really impressed. I don't know. I suppose Paul's question actually has some merit in terms of why. Of all the things that Valve can do, like make Half-Life 3 or Greenlight not be shit, I don't know. There's all sorts of things they could be doing, and instead they're going, music players, people with PCs can't listen to music. Let's do that. Let's fix that problem for them.
I'm pleased in the sense that at least now I won't have to like Alt-Tab out of something to pull up an external music player.
There is
No, not the Alt Tab.
That's useful. Some games can't handle Alt-Tabbing, Paul.
That is very
Even in the modern era.
Maybe on your funny AMD card, but on my computer I don't have this problem.
Nvidia have mastered Alt-Tabbing technology.
Paul, that's because you play 3 games a year.
I've been playing a lot this week, so yeah.
We'll get to that shortly, but no, Alt-Tab is still something that breaks a lot of games, unfortunately.
Or it just makes them run like shit when you go back into them, which is basically
yeah, there is that.
So that's all right. I'm keen to utilize that functionality.
I suppose that the one thing, I don't know if I would actually use this to just listen to music, like I don't know if I would automatically set all of my entirely legal MP3 files to open Steam when I wanted to listen to music.
Naturally.
But if it's less bloated than sort of old versions of Winamp, Media Player, stuff like that, then there's a thing to it. I just don't understand what Valve are doing. Like, in general.
See, my problem is I hate digital music, like in as MP3 format. I just don't use it. Everything I have is on CD. I like it on CD. It's better than slightly better than vinyl. And basically, if I could put a vinyl into my computer, right, that'd be brilliant.
Yeah,
What about lossless digital though, like the FLAC files or whatever?
Yeah, but it's just crap. I need to have a physical thing, so I
If
don't
it's
have any
lossless,
music
it's
on my
lossless,
computer.
It's fine. I'm with you on MP3. It's been a bit over compressed, but
No, I'd agree with that, though. I'm not an audiophile. I can't really tell the difference between sort of 320 kbps and 220 or whatever.
I have terrible speakers, so it's kind of irrelevant. But yeah.
I have okay speakers. I have really good headphones, but I usually don't have them plugged in. Shit, what was I going to say? Yeah, I can understand the whole sort of vinyl is more authentic thing. You know, I can sort of understand that if you really like your music to have pops and crackles and hisses. But I'm sorry, what? CDs are what? CDs are great.
Yeah.
FLAC, high quality MP3, OGG Vorbis, use just any of
It's
the
not a
compression
thing.
systems that actually work quite well.
It's not a thing, though. It's
How would you
not
like
a
to
real
touch your
thing.
CDs? Are you a toucher? Have you touched some CDs, Paul?
I like touching my CDs.
So do I, but I also quite like just playing digital stuff.
I genuinely do not have a single MP3 file on my computer that is music.
Really?
Yeah.
Pretty much guarantee that if you have games installed, you probably do.
Yeah, well apart from games, I've got no choice. I can't take them off and put them on a CD, can I, Tim?
I suppose you could if you want.
Probably could.
Oh, actually, having said that, I did actually find...
You won't, though.
I did find my Interstate 76 or whatever it is CD1 the other day, which has got absolutely brilliant soundtrack, and you can put that in your CD player and crank it up. It's brilliant.
I actually thought that you were going to say Quake there with the Trent Reznor soundtrack.
No, but I did find my Quake 1 T-shirt this week, which is just a picture of a big nail in the middle, but it's knackered. It's had it.
Oh.
I remember when games actually used to have, you know, CD audio, as in when the music for games like the original Command and Conquer.
Yeah, brilliant.
All of the music for that was basically tracks 2 to 14 on the CD.
That's when music was good, not some generic classical bollocks that's been knocked up. It's when they actually really spent a lot of time on getting the atmosphere and yeah.
I would actually largely agree. I think that orchestral music is hideously overdone in games these days. I think there is a lot of room for other genres of music. You don't need a sweeping orchestral score.
No. Everyone take a cue from Hotline Miami or games of that ilk.
There are games out there with soundtracks I listen to, and they are not games that have orchestral scores, because I've heard so many sweeping orchestral scores in video games, particularly fantasy games, but basically everything else as well. I'm pretty certain there are lots of first-person shooters with sweeping orchestral scores. They all blend together.
I was quite amused earlier when testing Battlefield 4 that it starts with Total Eclipse of the Heart. I quite like that. I think
Yes.
see more of that, maybe. They should have played more of Total Eclipse of the Heart. They got distracted by some generic soldier bollocks pretty quickly, but I was enjoying it up to that point. It was quite good.
Yeah.
Anyway. Well, see, one of my other stories kind of dovetails into games we've been playing, I think, which is that The Wolf Among Us Episode 2 came out.
No!
Yeah, I know. All you people who played it back in October and thought, we're never going to see Episode 2. Wow, there it is.
No, back in October, I thought we were going to see episode.
When did you stop thinking you were going to see Episode 2? December?
Yeah, probably sort of late December, when I was thinking this was the time when we started seeing, you know, Episode 2 of every other Telltale game. Where the fuck is The Wolf Among Us? And then January came, and we still had nothing.
Yeah.
Shit, and now it's actually out.
It is out.
I hope it's out, Tim, otherwise you've been in some sort of weird time warp for the last 5 hours doing nothing.
What have you been playing if it wasn't The Wolf Among Us?
I don't know. I may have just had some sort of mass hallucinations by desperation, wanting to Wolf Among Us.
Describe your hallucinations to us, Tim, but without spoiling too much. Which
I see. Have we perhaps moved on to the games we've been playing now? Was that your clever segue?
Really, do we have to spell it out, Tim?
I've just transitioned.
I just want to make sure that everyone knows how fucking clever Peter is.
Everyone knows. Come on.
I've been thoroughly enjoying it. I'll be honest with you. I haven't finished it yet because I was playing it last 2 hours or so. Occasionally alt-tabbing out to make sure that we haven't started the podcast yet.
Does the alt-tab work?
Yeah, the alt-tab works fine.
Right.
Yeah, I'm pleased to report that.
Good job, Telltale.
So that's an extra 1 point to the score for starters.
At least. Yes.
The difficulty is that talking about this kind of necessitates spoiling the first episode.
Yeah, I was kind of.
I'll talk in couched terms. The cliffhanger at the end of the first episode, that it kind of kicks off a couple of hours after that, and the particular nature of what happened with that event is revealed fairly quickly, and that leads to new leads in the ongoing murder investigation and so on and so forth.
Right.
It is very Telltale. There hasn't been anything yet. You know how in the first game you had the decision whether you wanted to go and see Mr. Toad or you wanted to go to the prince's house, I think it was?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, thus far I haven't had any big decisions like that very clearly put everything on a different track.
They might be saving that one up.
Yeah, it's been more Walking Dead stuff in terms of I pick a response and it goes, this character will remember you said that.
And then you wonder if they really will.
Yeah.
Or in The Walking Dead, you get, this character will remember that, and then about a scene later they die. You think, well, that was a waste of fucking time, wasn't it?
Yeah. So I don't know. It will probably reference or change some dialogue lines a bit later on. I did have a very nice scene where I got the option to smash up a strip club, though.
Very good.
I didn't take it. I'm saving that for my second playthrough to see how much that changes things. I've actually got quite a lot of options for all-out violence and police brutality in this one, come to think of it.
He is quite violent, Bigby, isn't he? He was quite violent in the first one, even.
Yeah, you do get the opportunity to smash in a lot of faces and furniture. I haven't taken most of them yet, though once again there are a couple of quick time event based fights that are essential. What did you think of those, by the way? I didn't find them overly offensive.
I have to say I only watched them. My wife was playing it. I didn't play it myself. I was kind of going to wait till all the episodes are out, so maybe 2016 or so to play through.
Are you going to completely ruin the story for yourself by watching your wife play the other episodes?
Yeah, probably.
Is your wife there? Can I talk to her about this?
No, she's at work, sorry. Well, I don't know, Telltale, they're a good series. You can get a lot just by watching them, let's be honest. You can pretty much experience the majority of 90% of the experience I feel like I've been getting just by watching.
Yeah, Telltale have kind of moved away from point-and-click adventures and into, I hesitate to use the term, interactive movies.
Yeah, pretty much.
Only they actually do them really well because they do
yeah.
good writing and good voice acting and good scenes and good stories, as opposed to the interactive movies of the mid-90s, which had bad writing and bad voice acting and bad acting and bad scenes and terrible camera work and oh dear. And sort of shoehorned in attempts to get gameplay in there. Whereas with this, it just feels like one cohesive whole. It's very nice.
Yeah, do you find it a bit weird how they still retain a few bits of point and click, but in a sort of very muted way? Because I was in the first episode of Walking Dead series, season 2 or whatever. There's a part where you're stuck in a shed, right, and you can look around and interact with a few bits of the shed. And that's like classic adventure game puzzle. How do I get out of the shed? I'm going to have to combine a bit and look at stuff and use my ingenuity. But actually, you kind of don't. You just look at one thing and then you get out. So it kind of looks like an adventure game puzzle. But then really it's not. It's kind of interesting.
It's funny you mention that, because I did think about that, because The Wolf Among Us didn't really have adventure game puzzles. Like, Episode 1 didn't, and Episode 2 hasn't so far either. I mean, there's a bit... I don't think it's spoiling too much to say there's a bit where you're investigating a crime scene, and the person who's with you occasionally asks questions when you find stuff, says, oh, what does this mean? And you get your choice of responses, and basically one of them connects the evidence together, and the rest of them are sort of fairly idiotic lines of thought. And yeah, I don't know, it's not an adventure game element really, but on the other hand, then you've got things like The Walking Dead, and I've only played season 1 and about half of it at that. And I do remember most of the episodes, or the ones that I played, had one section that was a point-and-click adventure bit, where you actually had to walk around, pick up items, combine items, use them on other items, and then you were back into interactive movie mode for the rest of the episode.
Yeah.
Which I do find quite jarring, because they're really easy to spot.
It's like, as you know, yeah, whoever's left at Telltale who likes the traditional point-and-click mechanics goes, oh, guys, come on, man, I've made this really good puzzle with, like, a radio or something. Can we put it in, please? Can we? And they go, oh, all right then, Steve, you can have your little point-and-click adventure bit.
And then it turned out that puzzle is rubbish, because it's a radio that's apparently broken and it just doesn't have batteries in it.
Oh man, that's so bad in that first... We can spoil this bit. Yeah, you've got a journalist, right? A journalist character who doesn't understand how radios work or how batteries work.
Yeah, the puzzle is literally... The puzzle is quite literally, this radio doesn't work, player. Can you fix it for me? Oh, okay, I've opened it up and there's no batteries in it. Well, I guess I'll just have to look around this shop and find batteries to put in it. Puzzle complete, achievement unlocked.
I think they have actually commented on that one. I think they've sort of done a mea culpa on the terribleness of that puzzle.
I think that the mea culpa on that was less to do with the puzzle being shit and more to do with the fact that this otherwise strong female journalist intelligent character apparently doesn't know how radios work.
Yeah, it was a bit incongruous, really.
I've got to say, actually, there is a part of me, and this is probably going to sound weird, but there is a part of me that would kind of prefer to be watching The Wolf Among Us rather than actually playing it. I don't know, I was just thinking kind of with the early sections, I was sort of picking dialogue options that probably don't mean anything, and it's nice to have that. It's nice to have the big choices that genuinely do lead down different tracks and feel like you're having an impact on the way the story's unfolding, and Telltale does that pretty well. But there is a part of me that was just sat there thinking, wow, if this was an animated series, I would totally watch this.
Well, yeah, like I say, I enjoyed just watching episode 1, and I'll probably enjoy just watching episode 2, and then cringing when my wife chooses the most brutal options to unnerve me.
Did she do that in the first episode?
Yes. Yes, she did. Quite frequently. I feel like I learned a lot about her from watching.
Well, this episode, if you played the first episode, I think it ends, you kind of take someone into custody. The first episode, after the very first scene, you then get an interrogation scene, which can turn quite brutal quite quickly.
I will be honest though, it was the typical Telltale thing where she chose the option, and it kind of indicates, this is going to be a bit more violent, but then it turned out to be a lot more violent than she was thinking it was going to be, and felt sort of quite bad. It's the one at the end of episode 1 where things go badly for a particular character if you're particularly violent towards them.
There is a fight scene in episode 2 which does wind up with Bigby ramming his fingers into somebody's eye sockets. It's a really brutal game. I really, really like the Fables universe, though. Bill Willingham's comics are really good. You know, if you're enjoying the Telltale series, I would totally recommend picking up the comics. Perhaps waiting until this season ends, as I suspect it's going to spoil a few bits from the...
Yeah.
I suspect that the comics will spoil a few bits, rather. I mean, if you read the comics, then the first episode's cliffhanger probably isn't going to seem very cliffhangery to you. Yeah. Which I think I'm free to say now that episode 2 is out, so you're not stewing for 3 months over what happens. But yeah, I'm thoroughly enjoying it. I think it probably says quite a lot about The Wolf Among Us and the things that Telltale make, that we've actually had a fairly long and in-depth conversation about these things without really touching on specifics, just the nature of the games. But yeah, thus far, The Wolf Among Us is kind of living up to my hopes and expectations. It's inevitably really hard to judge until the entire series is out and I can see how it ties into the comics and so on and so forth, if it ties into the comics. But yeah, it's really nice to see more characters pop up. They feel very authentic. The murder investigation it's taking a very dark and horrible turn, which I wasn't really expecting, and I'm quite happy about. And yeah, I would recommend it. I look forward to discussing it in proper spoilery terms with you later, Peter, once you've actually gone through it as well.
Well, yeah, it'll be tomorrow, because we've got the Xbox version, I have to say. So that'll be... well, you know, what can I say? Sometimes it has to be done. Paul, you played something this week.
Have I?
Yeah, you have.
I have. I played a few things this week. One of which...
what was your favourite?
One of which Tim and I have both been playing, which we can't talk about, I don't think.
Oh no, that one. No, we can't talk about that one.
We have been playing the other one as well, though, although I only spent about 20 minutes with it, I think.
Yeah, we've been playing the other one, which is the other one is the review up on the site for it now, which is Loadout, which is Edge of Reality's new twitchy, fast-paced shooter, which came out, I think, on Friday. It's a free-to-play game, but there's no such thing as free-to-play in the world of free-to-play. It's quite simply... fast-paced shooter, probably in the old sort of Unreal Tournament, the early Quake sort of style series. It's very quick, but the quirk and the catch with this game is, as the title suggests, your loadout, which is basically a way for you to go in and customize your weapons. So you take like a rocket launcher, I think it's like a pulse, and a sort of lasery thing. I can't even remember the real names, even though I've written about it today. But you take the base weapons and then you augment them with enhancements to make them do different things. So, for example, you could put like a laser sight on a rocket, which kind of works like the Half-Life rocket, where you can bend it and it follows the laser sight around wherever you move it. You can put 4 rockets on one particular launcher, which will have a slower reload rate and all this kind of stuff. So it's all about weapon customization, and there's no classes or anything like that. So you can take like a beam weapon, you can put like a health augmentation on it, and then it turns into like a health gun, so you can heal other players and so on. So that is really the main crux of the game. There's four maps, and I think there's 4 different game types. All traditional stuff: deathmatch, CTF, sort of capture and hold. And what was the last one, Tim? Remind me.
It's the one where you've got to actually. I don't know.
Oh, it's the one where you pick up the...
Sort of like deathmatch, except you have to pick stuff up off people's corpses.
Yeah, there's also another one where you have to... Where one person's the carrier and collect the blue crystals and then put them in the grinder, and so on. So there's 4 different modes, 4 maps, and all the modes can be played on each of the maps. So it's there's a good mix-up. And once you get to know... I mean, if you think about it, when you played the original Quake or whatever, it was all about knowing the levels. If you knew the levels inside out, you could predict where somebody was going to be, where somebody was going to come through a teleport, and so on. And all the best players could do that. And actually, interestingly enough, and I've just put this up on the site, is that people are complaining of the game being played by hackers because they're getting one-shotted. Now, the problem that people are finding is actually a lot of players who are playing this are really good at arena-based shooters. So they're not hacking. They're just really good at these.
That's not fair.
Yeah, but this is the thing.
Game and win. I don't understand. Why do I need skill?
Well, this is the thing. There's an experience system. So when you first start playing it, you're going to be pitted against players that are really new as well. But if you're a really good player, you're going to come up against these guys as you gain your experience and progress in the game. And obviously, then the gap will widen. But as it's a new game, and people are going, "Oh, I've been one-shotted by a laser in my head," and trust me, I used to play in a Quake League, and it's amazing the accuracy some players can get. You'd just be be agog, and the speed that they can actually get that accuracy. Fortunately, my old sausage fingers were never quite good enough to be all twitchy on the keyboard and stuff. So there is an experience system. You gain, there's 2 currencies in the game. There's a thing called Space Bucks, which is basically a currency which is real money, and a thing called Bloots, which are the sort of blue currency. Now that's not paid for, but you basically collect that by playing more, and then as you play more, you can spend that collect stuff that you've collected in the blues to buy the weapon augmentation. So it's not like a pay to win in the fact that, okay, I can buy the best weapon augmentation and then create this awesome weapon by spending money on it. You can't do that. The real money, the space bucks, is on cosmetic items or even getting stuff like double XP so you can level up faster. The problem I have, I think that's a good system. The problem I have with it is there is a tech tree on the weapons, so you can't get access to everything straight away. So you have to spend the bloots that you've earned, which is the blue currency, on stuff that you may not necessarily want to get to the stuff that you really want to. So you have to keep playing. So there's this cycle where you have to keep playing. And on the other side with the cosmetic items, they've almost got the free-to-play model right, but they've missed a trick, I think, in the fact that it's damn expensive. I think I put in the example in my review where you could get a pair of assless pants, a toothpick, and I can't remember something else, and it worked out almost probably 9 or 10 quid. Now, you can't really be charging that for what's effectively a cosmetic item, and it's a shame because the characters in the game look fantastic and the gear in it is fantastic and the animation is fantastic. The problem that you have right now, and this may change over time, is everybody looks the same because nobody wants to spend any money on it because it's so damn expensive. So I think, like, I was in a couple of games at the weekend. We obviously got some space bucks thrown into the account that we had. So I'd created like a disco guy, in a white suit and whatever. But I was like the only guy in any of the games that played that had any, different gear on.
Yeah.
Which is a shame because the characters really play an important part to the whole character of the game and the way the game looks. Because the levels are great. I think they're well designed. I think the emotes are fantastic. There's a video up in the review. I picked the most hideous one possible to show. Oh, apart from the one where he's got a pair of tighty whities on and his left nut is hanging out, which is you got to look that up, Tim. But his left bollocks just slightly hanging out on the left.
It's kind of a grotesque Team Fortress. It's kind of Team Fortress in an alternative. Yeah,
it is. I like it. I like it. I like the gameplay. It's not doing anything particularly new, but it is offering something that a lot of shooters just are not right now, which is good maps, pretty fluid gameplay. I don't know if the weapon augmentation system gets in the way. I don't know whether it would actually just be a really good game if everyone just had the same weapons. I don't know.
I quite like the weapon augmentation system. You said there are kind of 4 base types of weapons. You've sort of got the beams and pulse, which sort of fires out little spiked cannonballs. It's like a big projectile thing. You've got launcher, which fires explosives, and you've got assault, which fires bullets. And you can sort of really, really change how each of those functions. Like, they've all got their own base stats, but then you can change it so that your assault now has a sniper barrel, which massively ups the damage and accuracy and stuff, but lowers the fire rate. And then you can change the trigger from full auto to semi-automatic or 2-round burst or whatever. You can get the rocket launcher and you can have it with 1 rocket that just dumb fires straight ahead, does loads of damage.
Yeah.
Takes a while to reload, or you can reconfigure it to, have 3 rockets there, and you can do a 3-round burst on the trigger and add in one of those laser sights that Paul mentioned before, where the rockets go towards the sight, so you can kind of curve them in midair, change the trajectory.
It is, yeah.
There's a lot of scope for setting up the weapons the way you want, which I do quite like, and because you can take any 2 into battle with you, you can set up your own loadout.
Yeah, you can take two into battle with you, but if you die, you can then switch to one of your other preset loadouts that you've created. So you can obviously, if something's not working for you in a particular scenario, you can switch to your other one if you wanted to become a sniper or a healer or whatever between deaths.
You can also pick up the weapons of other people, so if some bastard keeps killing you with a mega gun, then you can actually just take it off his cold dead fingers.
Excellent.
If you manage to kill him. What I really like as well is that you can name your weapons, and when you go to pick up the weapons, it doesn't say pick up assault sniper. It actually says pick up fuck whistle or whatever that person named one.
Yeah,
I was rocking about with my spang twatter and net neutrality, which was a rocket launcher.
I do. There's so much I like about it, but I think the microtransactions, I think they've just got wrong. I think it would be more appealing to people if everything was cheaper, and they'd probably sell more, actually, to be perfectly honest, if they put everything like $1.50 or a couple of bucks. Maybe charge a bit more for the XP boost, I don't know, but it's not doing anything new, but what they have done is extremely polished, and it is free to play, so I would say go and play it. It won't appeal to everybody, but it will appeal to some people, especially people who like old school shooters.
There is a part of me that feels like they released it a little bit too soon, which they may have been forced to do for money reasons and so on. But yeah, I think you're right. I think that if they had a few more maps in there, a few more characters rather than just kind of the 3 base ones, and a shitload more cosmetic options, and they massively lowered the price of said cosmetic options, then you would have a lot of very varied characters running around. You would have people basically going, well, it's only $1 to get this hairstyle. I think I'll do that. That looks quite good. You would have a lot of people just sort of gradually, paying maybe $5 a month, getting a couple of extra items, cosmetics, characters. Yeah, I do think that would have made a big difference, but they can't really justify lowering the price of the cosmetic items at the moment because there aren't that many of them. It's not like there's only 5 or 6. There's a fair load, but there are enough that if you lowered the price to about $1, then for the price of $30, you could probably have most of them. At this point, you kind of can't justify lowering the price too much, which I think it's a bit of a shame. And I do think you're right. I think that having all the characters look the same really doesn't do the game any justice right now, because the customization, the visual customization, is a big part of what makes it seem so unique.
I think I think it's so close to having it right, and I'm hoping that over time it will change. Like I say, it's not doing anything particularly new, but the game modes are good, and they are a slight twist on your average capture the flag or deathmatch. They do have their own little twists, which is quite nice. There really is actually no excuse to not go and give this a try. It is free to play. I would say go to Steam, go and get it installed, and do play it. I think a lot of people will enjoy it, and if you can stick with it, then good on you.
I'd like to add quickly that there is no excuse for giving it a try, because it's also got a really small hard drive footprint. I think the install size is about 2 gigs, which is pretty damn small for a game these days.
It's not as good as Banished, which was 256 meg, I think, which I was impressed with.
yeah, but I mean, this has got big gas physics engine. Banished is something that works, as I understand it, primarily on its AI. Whereas this is something
seen the character creation. It does have some big ass physics, definitely. Is there a case for this game with quite a few of the free to plays, with having just I would like to just pay $30 to have everything, please option.
But keeping in mind that this game has been in early access for quite a while. So, they've been making money off the early access sales. I think it might even been for over a year. It's something ridiculous anyway. But they've been testing it for a long time. When you think about it, it's just as well. I mean, with all the customizations, everything's got to be balanced. It's incredibly difficult to do well. So far, I haven't really found too much wrong with it in that respect. But I mean, obviously, I probably haven't touched half the combos. And bear in mind that not all combinations work well with every weapon type. So you may unlock something be good on a rocket launcher, but it's complete shit on a rifle, or completely useless. So you have to take that into account as well. But yeah, I mean, it's not really much more to say than I'd say go and play it.
I don't know. I'll take a shot at your question, Peter. I don't know that you could do something like that you could basically just stick a price tag on it and get everything. I think it is something where the unlocks add a bit of variety to it as it goes on, particularly when you're talking about a game that only has sort of 4 maps, 4 game modes, which, there's a fair bit of variety there, but this day and age, that's not a huge amount. I do think there could be something like a subscription model. Sort of pay $5-10 a month or something, and you get an item at the end of every 2 or 3 matches or something like that.
I think
sort of make it...
So I think they should have a subscription model like Elder Scrolls Online, actually.
You have to pay to play it, and have microtransactions as well. it worked really well for the secret world, as you can tell by the current investigations into FunCom.
Oh, wow.
And the fact that the secret worlds dumped that model very quickly.
Yep. Yeah, you have to pay. Imagine if you were playing the Elder Scrolls Online on the Xbox, right? You've got to pay for Xbox Live Gold, you've got to pay for the game, you've got to pay your subscription fee, and then you may or may not have to pay some microtransactions too, so you've paid for it 4 times.
Can we talk about the Elder Scrolls, please?
And
No, we're not allowed.
You've got to have a TV as well, you've got to pay the electricity bill. It just,
I know, you've got to have a house,
Yeah.
I know.
probably.
Ridiculous. The fact that, I mean, if you look at it like that, the cost of playing the Elder Scrolls Online is hundreds of thousands of pounds. It's
Astronomical.
ridiculous.
You can reduce the cost though by living in a flat or a smaller house, so it's your choice.
Yeah,
True.
there is
But if you, yeah, I mean, that's like saying, well, you know, you could play it on a PC with a really shit graphics card. Yeah, but you're not getting the ideal experience, though, are you? You're not playing it as the developers envisaged.
Yeah. Or on like an
You're letting
AMD.
Michael Gambon down. And that's a shame.
Anyway.
No, that's one for coming up on the site, I think, because the Elder Scrolls Online is that's the one we mentioned earlier that
Tiv,
you guys have been playing.
Tiv, I'm really
What's
looking forward to your write-up on a Friday, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I love
Friday
it.
afternoon, I think that'll be going live.
Got that to look forward to. There's a Blackguards video in our mystical, magical CMS back room where we store everything ready to put it live later on. I think that's probably going to go up with this podcast, most likely. I'm in the Steam home streaming thing, so I'm going to mess around with that and write something about that. I don't know when that will be for, though, depending how difficult it is to set up. I'm obviously messing around with Mantle still in Battlefield 4, but I'm not sure if I want to write anything with that yet. If it's not really optimized for my graphics card, I might still do something with that. We'll see. What else? There's going to be a Banished video, I believe.
Yeah, there is. I'm just trying to figure out how to do that. It's a nightmare. It might have to do it over like quite a long session. But
Oh, that's a shame. You'll have to play Banished for another long
I
session.
know.
Yeah.
But every time I play it, I can't get out, and it doesn't let me escape.
I can't get out.
I
They
can't
keep
get out.
dying.
I'm sucked in. If I put it
Also,
if I had it in the Oculus Rift, it'd be even worse.
People dying left and right. In
Yeah, killing
full
them all.
Spectral with it. And also a Sniper Elite V3 write-up of
Yeah,
some
that's for Thursday at 3 p.m. GMT. There you go.
Oh, well, hey, there you go.
That'll be
was
up. Took a little trip to Oxford last week, so that'll be up on Thursday at 3 p.m. GMT.
Yeah, so that's all coming up.
Paid off by developers. Sorry. Something in my throat.
Also, I guess a review of Wolf Among Us episode 2 at some juncture, unless.
Yeah, I'll probably try and write that up tomorrow, as in before you're listening to this podcast. I don't know. It may pop up tomorrow. It might be Thursday. It'll be soon.
Tim, just don't delay your Elder Scrolls. I'm super excited for that.
I am ecstatic to read about the Elder Scrolls Online.
I can imagine.
I've kind of already been hearing about it, of course, because we interact with one another outside of this podcast, as you can imagine. But,
Peter, I
Actually,
don't know what you're talking about, because obviously I'm not allowed to talk about it with anyone.
Tim, did you fill in the survey that they mailed?
I did a couple of bits and pieces. Yeah.
Yeah, do send that off. I enjoyed writing mine.
we're never going to get another ZeniMax game ever again.
What are you saying? It's brilliant.
Yeah, you're
right. Sorry.
didn't
Yeah.
like it, Peter.
We're gonna. I don't know. I was just inferring from your tone that maybe you didn't have the best time with it. But I could be bad at just reading body language. I don't know. Already up on the site is the loadout review, as mentioned. My experiences with AMD's Mantle and Starswarm. We got Tim's thoughts on the Dota 2 New Bloom Festival patch 6.80.
I wouldn't read that. It's quite rubbish.
It was good. I just didn't really understand it because I didn't play Dota 2, which I mean, figures really. Be worried if I did understand it.
This wasn't a beginner's guide. I made no attempts to make this legible for people. humans.
Well, that's the most recent stuff anyway. So have fun with all of that, and look forward to the things that are coming up. Follow us on Facebook, people. Like us on Twitter.
No, it's the other way round. Oh God! Follow us on Twitter. Like us on Facebook. God,
I was wondering if you were going to spot that.
Captain fucking social networking there.
I'll tell you what. Normally I say just close your Facebook account because it's rubbish, but I'll tell you what I'll do. This week, either like us on Facebook or close your account. Yep. Those are your two options.
Yeah, if you don't like us, you have to close it.
If you're not going to like us on Facebook, then why are you maintaining that, really? Your friends never do anything interesting, really. They just tell you when they're having babies and stuff. And really, do you care? You don't, do you? Let's be honest.
They just tell you what they're having for lunch, or lol, watching film, so funny, lol.
Or you have to watch this video. It's amazing.
Here's a
This
video.
will change your life.
Here is a video of a dog farting, Roffle.
Having said that, do watch the Blackguards video that's going to be up on the site. And link it to all your Facebook friends. Hypocrisy in action. There'll be more of that next week, probably, on the IncGamers Podcast. Goodbye!
Bye!
Goodbye!